begin, could you briefly introduce? I mean, you don't need introduction, of course, but could you briefly introduce the your involvement in the Genesis tribute one night with Orchestra and how this opportunity came about?
Well, it's a cool story, and it all stems from relationships in the music business. I was on tour with Steve Hackett this last October, November of just last year, and we ended up playing a show in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Ryman Auditorium, which is a very historic venue there in Nashville. It's tons of bands and people have played on that stage. It's an amazing place. Well, at that show, Chester Thompson came because Chester lives in Nashville. And I'm sure everybody knows if they're a fan of Genesis that Chester was in Genesis for 30 years playing
Yeah,
behind Phil Collins, right? So he came to see the show, and I've met Chester a few times in the past. I interviewed him when I used to work at Sweetwater, and so I've known him over the years. He came to the show, and we were just talking. He was there with his son. We were hanging out before the show and catching up and things like that. And then he mentions to me this show in Italy, and that he just didn't want to do it for whatever his reason was. So he goes, but I'll give the guy your name if you want to check it out. Maybe you want to do it. I'll connect you to. So he did. He connected me with Giorgio Rosa, who's putting on the shows in Italy. And long story short, I got the gig because of Chester Thompson. So it's an amazing thing that the gift he's given me because I mean, it could totally be him doing these shows, but he gave me the opportunity, and now Giorgio's putting on more shows in Italy, and we're going to do the show in Lisbon. So
yeah,
it's just an amazing thing, and it's just because of knowing Chester.
yeah. And I'm great it all worked out because you are
You
incredibly
too.
talented, and and it's no you're no worth and no worse than Chester. So it turned out great in the end.
It turned out, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you for saying so, and yeah, just a really cool gift he gave me for doing it.
yeah,
It's really cool.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward for the Lisbon show. What are you planning specially for that show? Are you planning anything special?
Yeah, we're doing a great set of stuff. Martin Levac he's a fantastic entertainer. I mean, he's got the Phil Collins thing together for sure, right? But he's great on stage. He's a great singer. He's a great drummer too. So we play together. We do that Phil and Chester thing together. We might even excuse me, switch some things up a little bit. I might get on singing while he plays drums. We're gonna do a few
Yeah,
surprises and stuff
nice.
here. It's gonna be a very cool set. The band, the rock part of the band is great, great players. They really put in a lot of time and effort into this to make it sound authentic and a lot of great passion and vibe in the music. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And hearing these songs played in that orchestral setting
Yeah, yeah.
with those instruments is super cool.
Yeah, they become a whole new different songs. It's amazing, I think.
Yeah.
And you were talking about Martin Levesque. As you said, he's also a drummer, also a singer. How do you describe that dynamic that you have or that you're gonna have during the show, and especially during that much anticipated drum duo that I think you are going to make.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, listen, the first time I knew of him, of course, and I think I saw him play live a couple times when he used to be in the musical box years ago. Um, but getting together with him and performing with him in Italy this last January was the first time we'd ever done it. It was totally easy,
Yeah.
very natural. He just makes it. How do I say this? It's a very easy flow.
Mhm.
He plays the songs pretty close to the original. I mean, he's a real student of the music, and and I'm pretty close to it too. So it was easy to kind of connect with him. I don't know how else to say it than that. It was a very natural feeling on stage,
Yeah.
and he's got great pocket. And as far as the drumming is concerned, he's got a great pocket, and he's got that fill sloppiness, which is I'm saying that in a good way to his drumming. So it was very natural to connect.
Yeah, yeah, and I bet it's going to turn out great. You two playing together, it's going to be amazing for sure.
It should be
You were
fun.
also saying about that fusion that is your proposal between progressive rock and that symphonic dimension. Has you have as a musician, you have extensive experience in both contexts. What excites you the most about this format?
Well, listen, the playing with the orchestra in January was the first time I've ever played in a situation quite
Hmm.
that big. I've played with string players before and things, but much smaller, little quartets or 5 or 6 people, but not a full 70-piece orchestra. So that was a first time for me. And I've been in the music business a long time. So it was really cool to be enveloped in the middle of all of that sound. It was incredible. And the conductor Stefano was just there was a nice connection there. We really relied on each other as far as time and getting from each section of the tune. Again, it was very natural in that too, in that respect as well. But what a cool sound to
Yeah.
hear it. I've seen orchestras before. I've gone to see symphonies perform, but being on stage and hearing the sound around you is quite an experience.
Yeah, an orchestra has that powerful feeling. It
Yeah.
completely changes everything. It's magical, really. And of course, throughout your career, you've been connected to Genesis, particularly on the album Calling All Stations. How important was that album to your relationship with music and to your journey as a musician?
Well, it's one of those things that I never in my wildest dreams ever thought would happen because, Phil Collins is in Genesis, not
Yeah, of
me.
course.
So it was like, it came about again through a relationship and just so I don't know, it sort of fell in my lap again. So it was a huge thing for me because, Phil was my favorite drummer and Genesis was my favorite band growing up. And so it was one of those crazy turn of events. Um, and yeah, I mean it's neat to have it on my resume that I was on a Genesis record. So it's cool. It's helped out in certain respects, including this particular performance. It's helped out quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's certainly one of those moments where you look back and your inner child is proud of what you achieved.
Totally. Yeah,
The influence that Genesis had on you, it's incredible.
for sure.
Yeah, and this tribute also includes a full performance of "Supper's Ready," which is one of Genesis' most iconic pieces. How do you approach such a complex and legendary composition, in this live setting with the orchestra?
Well, you take a huge piece of music like that and you break it into chunks. And that's sort of how they recorded it too. Each of those little sections is
Hmm.
think of it as its own song. You just have to connect them all
Hmm.
together. The majority of it, all the way up until Apocalypse in 9/8, the crazy middle section, is not so difficult to play. It's difficult to play it correctly and get it across,
Yeah.
but the parts aren't that hard. So you just got to play it like a regular song and you kind of give it the passion. And then when you get to Apocalypse in 9/8, boy, it's good to really know the music because it's very, boy, it's it's a difficult piece of music, and thankfully the orchestra just reads the music on the sheet, so they play it just like it's read. So you got to make sure as far as the drums are concerned, like
Mhm.
when to switch and when to do certain fills. It's very sort of written out, and but I mean we pulled it off pretty well in those first shows. And again, Martin knows that stuff inside and out as well, so it makes the hard parts this much easier to pull off.
Yeah, that's great. And you're basically playing drums by the music sheet as well, right? Each little bit is already programmed.
Well, it's all up here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the head. Yeah. So thankfully they're doing stuff. Nothing was really out of the ordinary
Mhm.
as far as the arrangements of the songs are concerned. We switch, practice things and switch stuff if we need to, but they're playing the songs pretty close to how they are on the records.
Yeah.
So there's nothing totally out of the blue. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, to trip us up.
Yeah, yeah. And your career has been very, very versatile. projects like Spoxbird, Big Big Train, even Tears for Fears, or Genesis, like we said before. How does that diversity in your career influence a show like this? How do you look to a show like this, having such a vast background?
Well, it helps in the fact that, I've been on stage and I've done a lot of shows. So
Mhm.
there's a I don't know, a comfort factor of being on stage and being in front of an audience and having the confidence to get up there and play. Comes with just a lot of experience. Thankfully, I've been able to do this a lot over the years, and getting up on stage with all those players just feels like a natural place to be, you know.
Yeah, and it is that's where you belong. I think it's with the greats that you are. After a so vast career, and part of that career was spent with Cirque du Soleil. It marked an important chapter in your life as well.
Sure.
What lessons from that period can be carried into this show? Like because it's a completely different experience than what you usually do.
Yeah, it is. It sort of is and is not because
Yeah. Okay.
it's different because yeah, you're putting on a circus with acrobats and all these different things,
Hmm.
but it the same part is that it's a show. You have to go there and really give your best night after night. Sometimes, well, speaking of Cirque in particular, I did the show like 1,500 times, and you would think you get a little bit bored, and sometimes you gotta make sure you don't get bored because it might be show number 1,240 for you, but it's show number one for the person in the audience.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure it's like it's their best experience possible. So it teaches you, um, it teaches you how to be consistent and give the best performance possible night after night, even if you're tired or anything like that. It trains you to give your best performance no matter what, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and that reminds me. I was just seeing an interview of I can't remember who, but he was saying exactly that. He was saying that the show is not for the musician to have fun; it's for the public, for people watching to have fun. And that kind of relates as well because maybe you're even bored of playing the same old thing every night, but for the people watching that same old thing was the magic of the show.
Totally. Yeah. You gotta give it up. It's like it's the first time you've ever done it every
Yeah,
night, no matter
exactly.
what. Yeah. Or at
Yeah,
least
and
try.
especially when it's something as special as or has those 30 dates, or now with this Tijan's history, but it's so special, it's so meaningful to so many people. It's
Sure.
yeah, and also a lot of pressure on your shoulders, I believe.
A lot of pressure?
Yeah,
Not so much pressure. I mean,
no.
listen, it's music. It's fun. It's just you got to keep your head in the game, really. That's all there
Yeah.
really. I mean,
Hmm.
it's there's I guess it's pressure in the fact that you want to do the best you can for people and you don't want to make mistakes. But it's live music and sometimes mistakes happen, so it's not a big deal. You just kind of if anything I've been taught after doing this so many times over the years is to kind of maneuver around mistakes because mistakes happen no matter how
Yeah.
who you are. And I think that what happens from being a professional is that you know how to in the moment um, uh, get through that mistake. So either maybe the crowd never knew it happened, or you sort of laugh it off, or you sort of do it again. So like they think you did it on purpose. I mean, there's ways that you can figure out how to uh, get through those kinds of events. Um, and again, it comes from experience. So, but other than that, it's music, man. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Moving a little bit back maybe into your career as a whole, you released an album called Invisible that revealed the more conceptual and orchestral side of your songwriting, which somehow also has a connection to this symphonic Genesis tribute because it's all symphonic and conceptual, and there's a whole story and concept behind it. Do you see any static or any musical connection between that work and this show?
Well, I mean, it taught me a lot about uh, working with strings and different instruments of an orchestra in that setting. It taught me about the ranges of certain instruments. There's a great arranger named John Hinchy who worked on that my record with me, and one of his arrangements is going to be in this Genesis show that you'll see. Um, and it taught me a lot about the instruments in the orchestra that I not really thought about much. Um, how a flute sounds good in this with inside these notes or an oboe or certain string sections, and you write specific parts for those specific
Mhm.
instruments. So it was a real education in that, and in Big it taught me a lot about writing for the horns in Big Big Train. In the early days of Big Big Train, we used to play with a 5-piece brass section, which is not a ton, but each particular instrument has its sweet spot, and so I started writing a lot of music with those horns in mind. And so again, it was just a real education on what instruments can do. And then you also, what's a real cool education in that is like meeting those people who play those instruments, and
Mhm.
that's their passion, and they become
Yeah.
experts at those instruments that most of us don't think about. We think of drums, bass, guitar, keyboards most of the
Mhm.
time in rock
And
and
then
roll, of course.
orchestra as a whole.
Oh my
That's not,
gosh, and there's
yeah.
these people who spend their life becoming an expert at bassoon or or oboe or
Yeah.
viola or something that it's not our typical day-to-day sort of
Mhm.
thought in the rock and roll. So it's really cool to meet people and hear them play those instruments at such a high level. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun to see how those all of these little moments throughout your career combined and reach this big moment where that's playing this show.
For sure.
It's almost feels starstruck from seeing this point of view.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and looking at, you mentioned Big Train. Looking at the present, you have overlapping schedules, for Mr. Big Train. How do you manage these choices and priorities?
Crazy.
It can be easy.
No, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And I work for Gretsch. I also, I don't know if you see the sign behind me. I work for Gretsch
Yeah.
Drums now too. So
Hmm.
this is sort of my day job. But it's crazy I don't know. It's not, I don't know how you do it, to be honest. I can't give you a good answer. You just sort of juggle things and hopefully things line up or don't overlap so you don't have to say no to something.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's crazy. Um, the music business is never consistent.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to have a regular job sometime to fall back. And
Mhm.
thankfully, I'm still in drums and music when I do this day job, so that's cool. But
That's great.
it's it's weird. It's just you gotta juggle what you can, and hopefully things line up. The stuff with Mr. Big and Big Big Train, thankfully we were able to work together on
Mhm.
schedules and stuff like that. And now Mr. Big is done, so I don't have that chunk to. It's just the main thing for me is Big Big Train. That's my main focus. It's my
Yeah.
band. And so that's where I focus a lot of my time as far as playing is concerned. These things with the Genesis tribute, um, they're not going to happen all year long. So it's not going to, I only have to worry about this particular
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And if more shows come up in the future, which hopefully they will, we'll just have to see if everything will line up. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And I'm
always
sure they will.
it's a
Yeah.
struggle when you kind of have to juggle all these things plus regular life. My wife
Yeah.
doesn't want me to be gone all the time, so I have to make sure I prioritize normal life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it can't be easy. And as you were saying, you also have your day job still connected to drums, but still your day job. How do you balance that more educational and technical side of your work with the more artistic side of your career?
Well, again, thankfully, it's still in the same world,
Yeah.
um, so I
Hmm.
get that artistic side still sort of gets to be there, smaller level of it, but it's
Yeah,
still
of
there.
course.
It's just you got to think about the future, and what you're going to do later. I love touring and playing live. I'm not sure if I want to do it when I'm an old man, but there's a lot of musicians do. So I'm just trying to
Mhm.
think, kind of create a path to later in life, where I want to get to, and
Yeah.
I still want to hopefully stay in the drum world and in the music world. So I'm just trying to do things that utilize my abilities,
Mhm.
and uh, keep money coming in so I could pay the bills, of course, those kinds of things. And because doing making records and being on tour uh, is amazing. I don't want to do it, you know, all year long. Being on the road can be great, but it can also be tiring.
Exhausting. Yeah.
So you got to make sure that there's a balance of home life and
Mhm.
regular life and being on the road. So that's what I try to keep balanced as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a struggle of a successful musician. It's hard, I think.
It's
Um,
well, yeah, it's a struggle, but it's not a there's
yeah,
worse things in life for
yeah, of
sure.
course. Yeah,
Than trying to figure
no
out,
doubt.
yeah, if you're where the next show is going to be. So it's yeah, I'm blessed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And as you said, Genesis was your favorite band growing up, and their legacy continues to influence new generations of
sure.
musicians. In what ways do you notice that when you're interacting with the crowd after the shows?
Their music, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely generational, and
Mhm.
people really, I mean, especially the older generation who grew up with that music and heard it for the first time in the 70s and 80s and those kinds of things. When they hear these songs again played at that high of a level with that sound and on these really beautiful theaters and things like that, I mean, people get really emotional about it, and it's fun and it's really cool to be able to entertain them and bring them that joy for those couple of
Mhm.
hours. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's great. And just for wrapping up, you are going to have this show in Lisbon. Can you reveal anything special for the show? And send any message to the Portuguese fans that will attend that show?
Well, I think it's going to be a great time. I'm very much looking forward to coming back to Lisbon. I've played in Lisbon only a few times in my life. One was just last year with Big Big Train for the first time. We played a festival
Mhm.
outside of Lisbon, so that was great. And then I played, gosh, with Tears for Fears in the '90s in Lisbon. So this is getting me back to that beautiful city again. I can't wait to come back there. It's great. It's an amazing town. Um, I think we're
And
gonna have a great
it's
time
been a long
together.
time because Big Train, if I remember correctly, was in Gouveia, right? In Gouveia Art Rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Totally. Yeah. It was a long ways away, but it was still fun. Beautiful
Yeah,
countryside.
yeah.
It was
Hmm.
nice to be there for sure.
Hmm.
Um, I think we're gonna have a great time together. Let's just have fun. I'm excited to come back. My wife will be able to. I'm bringing my wife with me, so she'll get to experience Portugal and Lisbon for the first time. Um, so yeah, we're just look. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're in the area, if you've never been, come and join us. I think we're gonna have a good time together for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great show. Nick, thank you so much for your time. It's been an honor to have you here. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for
Yeah.
doing it. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.